1, 2. Is this on?
Over the years, WWE have done plenty of gimmicks, angles, segments and matches, knowing full well there would be a train wreck.
It borderline on too personal. It wasn't business, and it wasn't funny. So why did we do it? And it made my wife cry, so it pissed me off.
The wrestlers also knew they were being given crap, but still had to try and do the best they could with varying results.
It did start to get old at one point because they were just doing the same thing over and over and over. By like 2010, it was like, okay, where do we go from here?
The only thing for certain is that the bad creative was doomed to fail.
Okay, can I just ask this question? You want to see Trish and Lita bra and panties, or you want to see Briscoe and Patterson hardcore match? You're right. It's Briscoe and Patterson in a lingerie diva.
For this video, we're showcasing the times the company purposely put on an awful product, and even buried it as it was happening.
When it actually started hurting everybody, because Jerry Lawler would be like, oh, you grab a hold, that's boring. And it's like, crowd started chanting boring. Anytime on a house show, someone grabbed a hold. Yeah. There was a, oh shit, what have we done here?
Today, we list 10 times WWE intentionally booked bad TV.
What if we had someone who was just clueless and a tad bit offensive? Not a heel necessarily, but just someone who was completely in over their head, which could lead to unpredictable and chaotic events.
After Wade Barrett became Bad News Barrett, he didn't wrestle for a while and would instead cut promos and interrupt others. One such example occurred on the January 24, 2014 SmackDown, where Bad News gatecrashed a cold match between a babyface Miz and a heel Brodus Clay.
In the meantime, we're gonna make you all suffer through one of the worst matches in WWE history.
Barrett's running commentary was obviously the highlight here.
Why don't I get this one started with a little chant of my own? Miz is awful. Miz is awful.
However, it quickly became evident that WWE had booked this short nothing bout between Miz and Brodus, just so Bad News could absolutely bury it.
It is like watching Iran versus North Korea. You kind of hope they both lose.
Miz won with a weak DDT, but not before Wade rained down a flurry of insults.
Don't tell me that this match is not terrible. There's kids putting their pajamas on over there. They want milk and cookies.
Barrett would later reveal that Miz had been affected personally by his insults. Rather than apologize, Barrett reacted with pride, saying how some of the best heel promos are the ones that legitimately touch a nerve with the other performer. The dying days of WWE's version of ECW saw the company throw a few different things at the wall, though none were able to boost the declining ratings. The Abraham Washington show was one of these failed concepts, seen in the brand's final year. Each segment would begin with the host being introduced by Tony Atlas. Atlas was often the most entertaining guy on the show, since he would laugh uncontrollably, sometimes completely out of nowhere. Abraham Washington had plenty of charisma.
Sit on down, feel comfortable. My name ain't O.J. Simpson, relax. Wow. Take it easy. I don't feel safe at this point here in Canada, especially in Edmonton. You know why? Because it's hard for a brother to feel safe in a place where your national sport is a place where you got a whole bunch of white men beating a black object with a whole bunch of sticks, huh?
But the interviews and storylines featured on the show didn't have much to them. The guests frequently buried the show and Washington as a whole.
Christian, man, anybody ever tell you you got a face made for radio?
Did anybody ever tell you you have a show made for public access?
Now, what more could you expect from me?
How about you actually trying to be funny?
I've seen your show.
It stinks.
Sure, he would roast them back, but there was a bit of a disconnect since Abraham never got beaten up or suffered any form of comeuppance, and that's despite him being a trained worker.
You come out here on my show and disrespect me, you fake Dennis Rodman reject, huh? When I found out I was having one of the Hardy Boys on the show, I was so pumped and I was so excited. But when I found out it was you, I was so disappointed. Is it me, Tony, or did it just get a whole lot whiter up in here, huh? You make Casper look like a brother, you know what I'm saying? I think we have some pictures.
Following ECW's cancellation, Washington got taken off TV for 2 years as he returned to developmental. Like Abe, our next example didn't wrestle, but was a recurring character for a short time. We're referring to the man known as Big Dick Johnson.
It was like a mixture of Chris Farley and Party Boy from Jackass, I think, were like the two big inspirations for that character.
Johnson was one of the WWE writers who the company put on TV as comic relief, though not everyone will have agreed he was funny.
What's the over-under now? Hit him in the nuts.
I was like literally about to throw up from being hit so hard in the balls. Never forget afterwards, like, hey kid, I told you, I don't mean no harm by it, but like, don't shake your dick in front of my face ever again. And I was like, okay.
Whether we thought Big D was entertaining or not, he certainly was somewhat memorable, just maybe not for the right reasons. Fans probably thought they'd seen the end of Johnson once WWE turned PG. However, Big D made one more appearance following the switch, never to be seen again. Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe's feud over the hardcore title in 2000 was quite entertaining on television, but they had no business working a pay-per-view, especially a hardcore evening gown match. Pat became Patricia, while Gerald morphed into Geraldine. Originally, another stipulation match had been suggested. However, McMahon's brain hatched an idea that was far worse.
Gewurz and I are thinking, well, okay, we got one match here for the King of the Ring card. Okay, Lita and Trish, bra and panties match. But Vince wanted the Stooges in something. So then he brought up, well, how about Briscoe and Patterson in a hardcore brawl? Okay, can I just ask this question? You want to see Trish and Lita, bra and panties, or you want to see Briscoe and Patterson hardcore match? You're right. It's Briscoe and Patterson in a lingerie diva.
Patterson and Briscoe's King of the Ring 2000 clash is considered one of the worst matches in wrestling history, with many experts putting it in the minor star category.
Oh, it's a banana. There's your banana. There's your banana, Briscoe.
It would have been more appropriate for Raw or SmackDown. Putting it on a show fans had to pay for was a slap in the face at the time, but we can all laugh about it now.
Somebody sent home saying, this ain't wrestling. This ain't right.
McMahon has his fingerprints all over this next entry too. Over the years, WWE loved exposing talent's weaknesses or real-life insecurities for laughs. In some instances, it can work if the writing is strong and the performer is comfortable enough, but this was not the case for Lance Storm in 2003. A storyline began where Lance was labeled boring by Raw GM Stone Cold. Storm spoke about it during an interview with Chris Van Vliet.
When I actually started hurting everybody, because Jerry Lawler would be like, oh, you grab a hold, that's boring. And it's like, crowd started chanting boring. Anytime on a house show, someone grabbed a hold. Yeah. And there was a, oh shit, what have we done here?
Being painted as boring was the kiss of death for Storm. Booking an intentionally bad match was supposed to be the start of a push for Lance that would have seen him featured in the big Team Austin vs Team Bischoff 5-on-5 Survivor Series main event. However, in the weeks following, these plans changed and Storm was taken out of the Survivor Series match.
But again, Vince pulled me into the office with, well, it's everybody chants you suck at Kurt. No one thinks he actually sucks. It's just something for them to say. We want to see this as that. Can we not make it more make it a shut up and wrestle gimmick? It started working on house shows because I'd go to the ring and grab a microphone and start explaining how I'm not boring. And then the opponent's music would hit. I'd do the head turn like I did in WCW. The place would pop like crazy and then we'd go on and have a match. And it was like it was working. Yeah. As soon as I told Vince it was working, they changed it.
On Raw, Lance kept trying to improve his charisma and show more personality. It was also during this time that McMahon tried to push Lance as having a large Johnson by pairing him with Val Venus. But it just didn't fit, though WWE kept with it, despite Lance struggling to put it off. Storm had a few comedic run-ins with Goldust, but the end result of this story really left a lot to be desired.
Part of me thinks they were trying to see if I would say no to something. Really?
Lance became a dancing babyface with awful entrance music, a far cry from the straight-shooting, serious, technical wrestler. WCW had been able to balance his character much better.
But it's like I'm backstage and I get Vince is out on the stage, he wants to see you. Okay. So I go out on the stage and it's like, I got this new Titantron for you. It's like, why don't you see it? And they play that thing. And Vince starts grooving. You can tell he's just into it. I'm just beside him going, oh, fuck, I'm dead. Because Vince is just loving it. So he plays like, what do you think, pal? And I'm like, that was really something. I'm a dance gimmick now. Wow. And that's where I'm like, Okay, I gotta do this entrance. What the hell am I doing?
Storm absolutely hated the dancing gimmick and pitched numerous ideas to end it. These included teaming with the Hurricane as the superhero in training before Rosie got that gig. Another idea would have seen Lance move to SmackDown and feud with John Cena for the US title, in which Storm would align with his former ECW peers Paul Heyman and Dawn Marie. None of this came to fruition, and Lance instead chose to retire from active competition, becoming a trainer in OVW. Jillian Hall was an OVW graduate who just might be the most edited wrestler on the WWE Network, Peacock, Netflix, or any streaming platform that hosts WWE. That's because her singing gimmick saw Jillian perform popular licensed music on a regular basis. Even though these were covers, the company still can't broadcast them in perpetuity. They were all just a one and done. Hall sang badly to garner heel heat. But this was more go away or grab the remote, fast forward, change the channel heat. However, because Jillian drew boos and went all in on it, the gimmick lasted for a few years.
She's not Celine Dion, but this is the Titanic.
It was like watching a show like X Factor where the judges would deliberately put through bad singers to get people talking. This concept doesn't work as well in wrestling unless the character is actually entertaining. Even Hall admits her performances became stale after a while.
It did start to get old at one point because they were just doing the same thing over and over. By like 2010, it was like, okay, where do we go from here?
The original This Is Your Life with The Rock and Mankind in 1999 is considered one of the greatest segments in WWF history. However, whenever the company has gone back to this well with other wrestlers, it's been painfully bad. The November 14th, 2011 Raw saw WWE try to recreate This Is Your Life with John Cena and Mick Foley during Cena's rivalry with The Rock. Here we saw baseball coaches and people from John's past come to the ring.
And John struck out.
Unlike 99, the comedy was lacking and the crowd was silent.
You're striking out with this whole thing right now, Mick.
Cena's old tag team partner, B Squared, aka Bull Buchanan, even made an appearance. Bull spoke about what he'd been up to since his alliance with John ended in 2003.
Got fired, the old lady left me, she divorced me, took off. Lost all my money in a Ponzi scheme, that was a whole lot of fun. Remember the dog? Remember my dog Lyle? Yeah, he bit right there on the arm. Yeah, gave me rabies, pretty much finished my career. So you know what, John? I guess what I'm trying to say is, you ruined my life! Thanks a lot! Well, finally something worse than the Shockmaster.
John's dad, Cena Sr., then came out. By this point, the segment had completely fallen off a cliff and hit every rock on the way down.
Cena doesn't suck, you suck! This is one of wrestling's greatest catastrophes, right up there with the gobbledygooker.
This Is Your Life reared its ugly head again on the May 29, 2017 Raw, this time during the feud between Alexa Bliss and Bayley. The segment was universally panned and was so damaging, it took Bayley's character a long time to recover.
I only dated Bayley because I wanted to get close to you, Tracy.
This is hard to watch. Bayley, This Is Your Life. Remember that one? That was crickets. Wasn't Bayley's fault, by the way.
Jim Ross is someone Vince has chosen to mess with time and time again on live television. One of the worst examples occurred on the October 24, 2005 Raw, in what many consider to be among the most awful segments in WWE history. To set the scene, JR had recently undergone colon surgery, which meant he was off TV. McMahon then phoned up Jim saying he had a surprise for him on Raw that night, something the chairman said Ross would enjoy. You might be forgiven for thinking this was going to be some sort of tribute or get well message. What instead transpired was the infamous Dr. HEINEY skit, in which Vince completely ridiculed and embarrassed JR.
Here we go again! Stone Cold! Stone Cold! JR, we've solved the problem. You've had your head up your ass.
Ross has discussed his reaction to the segment on Talk is Jericho.
It was just, I thought, a waste of time, and I thought it was it borderline on too personal. It wasn't business, and it wasn't funny. So why did we do it? And it made my wife cry, so it pissed me off.
And in his second book, which he read aloud in audio format,
I turned it off and wanted to cry. I was beaten down, medicated, sore, tired, vulnerable, and now humiliated again.
A month later, WWE.com began a cartoon about Mr. McMahon and his ass. This was a direct response to Vince telling the digital team run by Michael Cole that the website sucked. Most of the series went unreleased, but you have to wonder what on earth they were thinking while making this.
Why don't you come over here and kiss my Thanksgiving asserole?
You almost ruined our Thanksgiving.
The Dr. HEINEY debacle was just one of the many times McMahon made fun of Jim on screen. It was how the chairman got his kicks, plus the writers would then pitch ideas humiliating JR to win brownie points with Vince.
To ingratiate themselves with the chairman, they kept coming up with ideas to embarrass and humiliate the TV persona of Jim Ross.
Ross was so over with the fans that the company would often book heels to attack him. These beatdowns would sometimes lead to matches, which in turn drew high ratings. This meant WWE kept booking Jim in similar angles, despite the fact the Oklahoman hated being involved in them.
I was involved in a lot of matches, but none that I wanted to be in, but the minute-by-minute ratings kill me. It's like watching NASCAR. They're watching for a train wreck.
Grief. You know as well as I do, as well as everybody here in Madison Square Garden. No! Oh my God! Eric Bischoff!
JR's most degrading moments were usually saved for his hometown. If the show was in Oklahoma, then there was a good chance Ross was going to be messed with for some cheap heat.
Austin, Steve, stop! Austin is crazed, Taz.
You treat me the way you treat JR? Oh. And then he gets about this close. He goes, "You think I've been bad to him?" I said, "I think you've made his life a lot more difficult than it needed to be."
It was no way to treat the greatest announcer in the business.
One that took me by surprise the most was John Laurinaitis comes out and relieves me of my duties.
You hadn't been told?
No. And it wasn't even on the format.
JR, you're fired.
What? I think we should play the trumpets. Woo!
In 2008, Mike Adamle was never able to redeem himself after his numerous screw-ups as a commentator.
Man who's been waiting anxiously with anticipation, his name is Jeff Hardy. I accidentally called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey. William Regal felt that he was disrespected, so he William Regal felt like he was disrespected, so he did.
I'm not going to complain about your announcing. The line's too long.
JR, please come home.
Despite struggling in this role, Adamle was named Raw General Manager. Here he was now able to carry a script around with him in order to prevent further botches. However, it was clear that Mike wasn't equipped to be a character on screen.
I'm definitely not going to happen to me. I'm not going to let it happen. In a gauntlet match. In a gauntlet match. There once was a man who wasn't taken very seriously.
In his audiobook, head writer Brian Gewirtz explained the rationale for making Adamle an authority figure.
We'd seen our share of babyface and heel authority figures, so what if we had someone who was just clueless and a tad bit offensive? Not a heel necessarily, but just someone who was completely in over their head, which could lead to unpredictable and chaotic events. I told Vince it was in the spirit of Michael Scott from The Office.
Adamle was later diagnosed with a brain injury that was beginning to take shape during his WWE run, hence the memory issues and frequent stumbles. In reality, Mike was a nice guy who maintained a good attitude despite the difficult time he had in WWE. He was put in a tough spot, but it says more about the company that they would throw someone on TV who knows so little about their product. Adamle was trying his best, but he was set up to fail given the circumstances. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 wrestlers who said no, but were forced anyway. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.